Hi. Today I am replacing a sink and a faucet here in my laundry room. Got a few quotes from some plumbing companies to do this professionally, and the cost was about $500. That is to replace this sink, this faucet, and not do anything else. Quite expensive. After I got over that shock, I decided I think I'll just do it myself. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I am doing and show you exactly how easy it is for anyone with a few tools and a little bit of know-how can do this and save themselves quite a bit of money. All right, let me walk you through it. First of all, a little bit closer look at the sink. You can see here I've done quite a bit of painting and have a lot of stains that I've applied to this plastic over time. I'm sure most of these stains could come out, but I'm just going to go ahead and replace the sink. This is all original from the house, which is about 15 years old. I've got this faucet right here that basically just does this. I have two small dogs and I frequently wash my dogs in this sink, and this faucet gets around to all the areas, but it's quite difficult to clean the dogs properly. So I've got a new faucet that I'll show you in a second. Here is below the sink. You have a single drain right here connected to the wall, two valves for hot and cold, and I've already turned those off. So when you're doing any plumbing, you want to make sure that the valves are completely shut off, and when you turn on the valves for the sink, that nothing is flowing. It's always good to check that. You never want any water coming out when you're doing any work, trust me. Here is the faucet that I'm going with. It is a Kraus brand. You can see there, Kraus. It has this spring on top, and so it has a long hose to use with it. This is the sink that we chose, called a Remodeling brand, RVA 1025. So these are the two things that I'm installing. Now every sink, every faucet is going to be different, so I can't give you explicit details on how to disassemble everything, but on my sink, you see some screws right here on these handles. This piece right here turns. I'm assuming I'll be able to unscrew some of these items right here. And then going down below, there's going to be attachments that I'll unhook from the bottom. Obviously, detach all of this. And the sink, I'm going to assume that I'll be able to push this up with some force or use some leverage to pry this off of the caulk that is connected here to the countertop. Once I have all this out, I can begin to put in the new equipment. On my sink, it was just caulked right here on the seams and just a little bit tight, and I just used a couple flathead screwdrivers, tried to find some spot where I could get a little bit of space between the sink and the countertop, and then worked my way around until it finally gave way and loosened up. So now that I have the sink separated, I just need to basically pick it up out of the circle or the square. Also was sure to disconnect any hoses so that I could pull it straight up without it pulling on the water pipes themselves. So you can see on mine, it's pretty much completely separated at this point. It's just a matter of lifting it out of the countertop. I have a towel down here just to catch any water that dripped out of any of these hoses or drains when I took them apart. All right, now the sink and the faucet are removed from the countertop. My sink had these little corner pieces that apparently the installer cut notches into this. Hopefully this doesn't impact my new sink design. I'll have to lay the new sink in and see if there's any impact, but I assume there won't be. Next thing I'm going to do is clean up all of this residual caulk, get the countertop nice and clean, and then begin to install the new sink in its place. So far, this is only taking me about, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes. All right, now I've cleaned up all of the caulk on this laminate countertop, so I'm ready to drop in the new sink. All right, now that I've got the old sink out, it's cleaned up, I dropped in the new sink and tested all the lines, the P-trap with all the connections, and made sure that everything appears to fit. I did have to cut this section a little bit shorter because this hung down lower than my other one, so I had less total distance. And then I also had to cut this piece shorter to accommodate. And I just used a very simple jigsaw for that. Easy to cut through that pipe. And then I set the sink into the countertop to make sure it did fit. And it did not fit originally, so I had to cut a couple notches out of each side. So I'm going to show you that next. But once I did that, it fit perfectly. And I also tested the faucet by sliding it down here and making sure it fit appropriately in the cabinet. It did not originally, which underneath here there's a washer that fits up to be snug, and it was hitting the edge of the countertop. So I cut out a notch to where this washer will fit. The countertop is laminate with material board, so it was pretty easy to cut through with a saw. Here's how the countertop looks with the notches that I cut out. I cut out a section right here, cut out a section right here, section right here, here, here. Did not have to cut any side on either of these two sides. And that was just trial and error until I got the tabs that needed to be connected that would fit. On mine, I have these tabs that are used for hooks. And so the countertop needs to match up with those tab widths. So that's all been done. All right, I did pick up a few things from Home Depot, one of which is called Plumber's Putty. It looks a lot like silly putty if you ever use that, but it's for plumbing to make a seal for metal on metal. And so just by following instructions, I placed a ring of the putty around the drain hole. And I was careful to get a good amount of here, and it's probably more than I need, but whatever squeezes out, I can wipe away. So work that away around the ring. And now I'm ready to set the drain into the sink. And it's going to just rest on the putty. And then when I tighten it from underneath, it's going to have a nice, good seal. All right, next I set these clips that come with the sink. I ran them on the back of the sink to basically clamp the sink down to the countertop. I know it's really dark, but these basically just grab onto the tab and pull down, and then you screw up with the screwdriver to get them tight, like so. Now they should go around all corners, but on my sink and cabinet, there's just no room for fingers or anything else to get between the sink and the wall, so I'm only able to do the back of the sink. That's just the way it is. The weight plus the drain connection plus the silicone should keep the sink very stable. And it's also a very tight fit, so there shouldn't be any movement around on the sink and the counter. All right, now that I've got that all done, I still need to do the faucet, but I want to check the sink for leaks because I've put this drain strainer into the sinkhole, putty's squeezed out around it. And I want to test the lines below to make sure nothing's going to leak. And so I'm going to just pour this pitcher of water into here and see what happens. I know it's not a steady stream of water, but I don't see anything that's obvious. Until I turn on constant water flow, it's going to be hard to tell. But before I go to the effort of attaching the faucet and doing all that plumbing work, I thought I'd give it one shot. And it looks good so far. All right, I've tightened all of the supply hoses. I put some plumber's tape there on those threads and use wrenches to tighten them. Follow the instructions in the instruction manual, and I have everything on. It is completed. Turning the water on. My faucet has two options, steady or kind of like a rain mode, and it looks great. So that's it. The only complications I had with the installation was, again, just taking the notches out of the countertop, but that was pretty quick work. I think that probably took me 30 minutes to an hour just to try to figure out exactly how to place the sink in the countertop and not cut more than I needed to do. But once I had that done, the sink fell right into place, and just following the instructions in the sink manual and the instructions on this faucet manual, everything came together really nice. The only thing that I need to do at this point is probably put some clear silicone caulk right here along the trim of the sink, but that's only just to keep any water that comes out, splashes out, getting back into the countertop. But otherwise, I think it turned out really well. Saved myself $500 and quite proud of myself. So I hope this video helped you. If you liked it, please click the like button, click the subscribe button, become a follower on my channel, and look for more exciting videos of other projects and other adventures. Thank you.